Hey guys, my name is Andrew, and in this video, I'm going to prepare you for your first conversation in Portuguese, using Spanish as a tool to learn it much more quickly. By the end, you'll be ready to take your first steps into the fascinating world of the Portuguese language and Brazilian culture. If you want to learn Portuguese faster by leveraging your Spanish, make sure you hit the subscribe button and click on the bell to be notified every time I post a video. So let's say you're talking to a Brazilian guy named Paulo. To greet him, you would say, Oi Paulo, tudo bem? This is literally like saying, Hola Paulo, todo bien in Spanish. Hey Paulo, how's it going? And then he'll probably respond with, tudo bem or tudo bom. He may ask where you're from. De onde você é? De donde eres? Notice how the DE is pronounced like a J in the English word judge. De onde. De onde você é? One thing to note here is that the general word for you, você, takes on verbs in the third person singular like usted does in Spanish. Você used to be used as a formal form of address like usted, but the Portuguese language in Brazil has evolved such that it's mostly lost that strict sense of formality and is now used as the standard way of saying you. To say I'm from, you would say eu sou de. So to say what city you're from, you would say eu sou de Los Angeles or eu sou de Toronto, etc. To say you're from the US, you would say eu sou dos Estados Unidos. Dos being a contraction of G and the masculine plural definite article us, which is the equivalent of de los in Spanish. In Portuguese, the names of most countries take on the definite article. So for a masculine noun like Canada, you would say eu sou do Canadá. Do being a contraction of G and the masculine singular definite article u, which is like del in Spanish. So you're literally saying, I'm from the Canada. Soy del Canadá. You could ask him, and you, where do you live? E você? Onde você mora? E tu, donde vives? Mora comes from the verb morar, to live, or vivir. Onde você mora is the standard textbook way of asking this in Portuguese. But it's really common for Brazilians to flip the order in questions, which I like to call the flip, and place the interrogative word at the end by saying, Você mora onde? Literally, you live where? Tu vives donde? And this goes for most questions. Like instead of the standard, de onde você é? Where are you from? That we just saw, you'll also hear, Você é de onde? Literally, you're from where? Or, Tu eres de donde? He might say, Moro em São Paulo, mas eu nasci e cresci no Rio. I live in São Paulo, but I was born and raised in Rio. No is a contraction of en and the masculine definite article u, like en el in Spanish. Most cities in Portuguese don't take on the definite article, but Rio is one of the few exceptions, which is why we say no Rio and not em Rio. Let's say he asks you why you want to learn Portuguese. Por que você quer aprender português? Por que quieres aprender português? If you want to say because I love, you can say porque eu amo. For example, if you love Brazilian culture, you'd say porque eu amo a cultura brasileira. Or maybe because you just love to learn languages. Porque eu amo aprender idiomas. Or maybe because you have a lot of Brazilian friends. Porque eu tenho muitos amigos brasileiros. Porque tengo muchos amigos brasileños. The NH in Portuguese sounds similar to the ñ in Spanish, except that your tongue doesn't quite touch the roof of the mouth. So it's pronounced tenho, not tenho. Tenho muitos amigos brasileiros. Or maybe because your girlfriend is Brazilian. Porque minha namorada é brasileira. Porque mi novia es brasileña. Or your boyfriend is Brazilian. Porque meu namorado é brasileiro. Porque mi novio es brasileño. Notice how in Portuguese, my changes according to gender. Minha namorada, my girlfriend, and meu namorado, my boyfriend. Compare that to Spanish, where you would just say mi novia and mi novio, regardless of gender. Just so I can start to get to know you guys better, let me know in the comments why you're learning Portuguese. Let's say he asks you how long you've been learning Portuguese. Faz quanto tempo que você estuda português? This faz quanto tempo que construction is pretty much identical to the hace cuánto tiempo que or cuánto tiempo hace que construction in Spanish. If you wanted to ask how long he's been teaching Portuguese, for example, you would say faz quanto tempo que você ensina português? You could tell him that you just started. Acabei de começar. The formula to say that you've just done something is acabar de plus the infinitive, which, as you can see, is just like acabar de in Spanish. The main difference is that in spoken Portuguese, you use the predicate of acabar, whereas in Spanish, you use the present tense. So acabei in Portuguese is literally like acabé in Spanish. Maybe it's been a month, so you say faz mês, or 2 months. Faz 2 meses. Just as you would always say hace in Spanish, whether it's singular or plural, like hace mes or hace 2 meses, in Portuguese you will always say faz plus the time phrase. Then he tells you that you already speak it really well. Você já fala muito bem. Ya hablas muy bien. So you thank him. Obrigado if you're male, and obrigada if you're female. He'll probably ask how you're learning Portuguese. Como você está aprendendo português? Como estás aprendiendo português? In spoken Portuguese, the phrase é que, which literally means is it that or es que in Spanish, often gets added in questions. Also, você gets shortened to se, and está gets shortened to tá. So, como você está aprendendo português becomes como é que você está aprendendo português? Which is like saying, how is it that you're learning Portuguese? You can tell him that you watch videos on YouTube. Eu assisto vídeos no YouTube. Assisto comes from the verb assistir, meaning to watch. Notice how the present tense conjugations in the first person singular mirror that in Spanish. You drop the last 2 letters of the verb and replace it with no. He might ask you if you've been to Brazil. Você já esteve no Brasil? Já is like ya in Spanish, and esteve is the predicate of the verb estar in the third person singular. Technically like estuvo, but used like estuviste. Like I said earlier, most countries take on the definite article. So Brazil in Portuguese is o Brasil, el Brasil. And since em plus u contract to nu, we have to say no Brasil, literally en el Brasil. To say no, not yet, you'd say não, ainda não. No, todavía no. But that you want to go someday. Mas quero ir algum dia. Pero quiero ir algún día. If you have been to Brazil and you want to tell them the cities you've went to, then the standard formal way of saying I went to is fui a, just like in Spanish. In spoken Portuguese, though, a is usually replaced by pra. For example, fui para São Paulo, fui para Salvador, fui pro Rio. Pro being a spoken contraction of pra and the definite article u. Let's say you want to ask him if he's been to the US. Você já esteve nos Estados Unidos? Nos is just a contraction of en and us, like en los in Spanish. If you're from Canada, you would say, Você já esteve no Canadá? And it's no Canadá because Canada is a masculine noun in Portuguese. If you're from England, then you would ask him, Você já esteve na Inglaterra? Na being a contraction of en and the feminine singular definite article a, so like en la in Spanish. If you want to ask him if he likes to travel, you would say, Você gosta de viajar? The way you say to like in Portuguese is gostar de, literally to like of. And you'll always just conjugate the verb based on who it is that's doing the liking. So I like is eu gosto. You like is você gosta, etc. Notice how this is different from how it's expressed in Spanish. Me gusta, te gusta, it's pleasing to me, it's pleasing to you. So if you want to ask him what he likes to do, you would say, O que você gosta de fazer? And he would begin his response with gosto de. For example, gosto de tocar violão. I like to play guitar. Me gusta tocar la guitarra. Gosto de jogar futebol. I like to play soccer or football. Me gusta jugar al fútbol, and so on. If you'd like to have something that summarizes the content discussed in this video, you can download my guide, Your First Conversations in Portuguese, by clicking on the link in the description. You could use this guide as reference when working with a tutor or a language exchange partner, and it's meant to help you start recognizing similar patterns from Spanish so you can learn Portuguese much more quickly. If you enjoyed this video, let me know by hitting that like button and subscribing to my channel. This is just the first in a series of videos on learning Portuguese from Spanish, so stay tuned because I have a lot more videos coming soon. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Muito obrigado e até a próxima. Ciao!